Good morning. A long, long time ago, there lived an angry caveman. He lived alone, as he was always shouting too much. He shouted so much that his family built a treehouse, just so they could get some sleep. Ah! The caveman bellowed one morning. This cave is rocky! I've got a numb bum! Mum! Dad! They watched as the angry caveman stormed out of his cave, stood at the foot of their treehouse and yelled even louder. Mum! Dad! Apples! Now! His family tried to pretend him to be a sleep trick. Oh! He grumbled as he stormed off. He always started his day with a big red juicy apple from the tree next to the river. But when he got there, all the apples had gone. A team of naughty squirrels had run off with them. Steam started to pour out of his angry ears. His face turned even redder than normal, and his angry eyes looked like they were about to pop out. Mum, who's been taking my apples? His belly rumbled a loud angry rumble, like it was shouting too. Just then he looked up and spied one tiny little apple right at the top of the tree. The angry caveman puffed and panted all the way to the top branch. He reached out his arm and he grabbed the apple. But just as he was about to take a bite, a large bird swooped down and carried it away. The angry caveman lost his grip and fell to the ground in a heap. He howled, and he sulked off to sit in his boat. Mum! Dad! Get me some fish! I'm hungry! Sulking, he rowed out to the middle of the lake, and he threw his fishing line into the water. He waited and waited, getting even more angry by the second. Where are you, fishies? All the fishes were indeed in the lake, but they were all at the bottom, hiding from the angry caveman. And he hit the fishing rod against the side of the boat. Uh-oh, he said, as the boat started to fill up with water. He had caused a leak. As the boat sank, the angry caveman's shouts were a long line of bubbles. Ah! Pop! Ah! Pop! Ah! Pop! Ah! Hungry and wet, the angry caveman marched out of the lake. Good morning, said his neighbour in a friendly voice. Rubbish morning, he grumbled, storming past him without even looking up. The angry caveman flumped himself down on a big brown boulder. It was a boulder he'd never remembered seeing before, and it was very warm and furry. Exhausted, the angry caveman soon fell asleep. Suddenly, he was woken up by something pushing him up and forwards. It wasn't a boulder at all. It was a massive mammoth. The angry caveman rolled down the hill, bouncing and bashing against all kinds of things. Ah! Ouch! Stupid mammoth! Ouch! And he landed in the muddy swamp. Splat! He sat up, wiped the mud from his face, and shouted the loudest shout he could. I hate this place! Just then, a deep, gentle voice came out of nowhere. Oh, hate is a very strong word, my fellow cave friend. What makes you say it? Who's that? Leave me alone! The voice came from the swamp jacuzzi, where the oldest caveman in the village was relaxing with his eyes closed. What if I told you can get lots of fantastic opportunities, help, gifts, and maybe even more with just one small change? Will you give it a try? This never happens to me. The angry caveman stomped over to the jacuzzi, sat opposite the old caveman, crossed his arms in a huff, and said, This will never work. For one day, you're not allowed to be rude or shout, and instead, you must try and help others. And the key is to take one long deep breath. Well, that's a load of... And it starts now, said the old caveman. On his way back home, the angry caveman saw the same bird that had flown off with that last apple. He was stuck in a tree. "You!" he started to shout, but quickly stopped himself. Instead, took a deep breath and said calmly, "Sorry for shouting. Can I help you?" The bird looked shocked, but accepted, and the angry caveman helped free the bird. But the bird flew off straight away. The angry caveman mumbled to himself, "That old caveman talking rubbish." Suddenly the bird swooped back down, but this time, in his beak, he was holding the biggest, juiciest, reddest apple Angry Caveman had ever seen. "Oh, thank you for saving me, Mr. Caveman. Here, have this apple as a gift." Oh, the Angry Caveman nearly fainted. "Wow, thank you." And off the bird flew. Soon the Angry Caveman saw the same neighbour he had shouted at earlier, and he ran up to him in excitement. The neighbour started to run away in fright. Wait, said the Angry Caveman. "Sorry for being mean. I'm trying to be a better caveman now." Well, the neighbour accepted the Angry Caveman's apology. "What happened to your boat?" the neighbour said, pointing to it. "It got a hole because I was angry and bashed it." "Well, let's see if we can fix it, shall we?" Well, the Angry Caveman once again hardly knew how to react, and he stuttered. Why would you want to help me? I was angry and mean." "Well, everyone deserves a second chance, don't they?" The two cavemen worked together to fix the leaky boat, and they high-fived each other at the end. "Thank you," said the Angry Caveman. "Any time," said the neighbour. On his way home, he came across a group of squirrels, all lying on their backs as they had full tummies, surrounded by half-eaten red juicy apples. His red juicy apples! The Angry Caveman was about to get angry, but he remembered the plan and took a long deep breath. "Hello," he said in a more friendly half-shout. "When my apples grow back, I'm going to share them with you. Is that okay?" The squirrels all nodded together in shocked silence. Passing his family's treehouse, he carefully threw up half the eaten red juicy apple and gave out a big whistle. "Breakfast!" he called out as he continued on his way to his cave. But when he got to his cave, the Angry Caveman found a big brown boulder blocking the entrance. Normally, that would have caused the Angry Caveman to shout very loudly indeed. "Wait, you're not a boulder. You bumped me down the hill." The mammoth turned around with teary eyes. "Yes," he said, snivelling. "I was trying to find somewhere to go and hide, just to make sure I didn't do it again." "Don't feel bad, it was an accident. And anyway, it was my fault for sleeping on you in the first place." "Oh, thank you for being so kind," said the mammoth, blowing his nose. "The rain is coming. You can stay in my cave and keep dry if you want." "Oh, that sounds great. And in return, you can fall asleep against me and keep warm," Mammoth said. Oh, that night the Angry Caveman had the best night's sleep ever, and he woke up happy without a numb bum. The squirrels had brought him a huge basket of apples to say thanks, and he shared them with everybody. And from that day onwards, the Angry Caveman was never angry again. Instead, he was known as Happy. In fact, a few weeks later, the old caveman and Happy were enjoying a relaxing swamp jacuzzi, when all of a sudden they heard an almighty splat. They looked round to see a new caveman covered in mud, angrily shout out, "I hate you, silly mammoth!" Well, Happy turned to the old caveman and with a wink of his eye said, "Leave this to Happy.